All right. You already know how we get started. Play a little music, a little lo-fi. Ooh, got something central today. All right, man, we back. Episode 7. Today's episode is brought to you by the one and only, the big homie, Hakim, a.k.a. the host of the show, This Starts With Me podcast, episode 7, once again, on our journey. Back on the grind, just another Saturday, man. This week was a hectic week. Got a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. If you missed last week's episode, it was a good one. It was a big yap session. It's actually over an hour. Really enjoyed that one. Really had a good time just kind of taking one shitty step at a time. So if you didn't check out that episode, please take a little time to go ahead and check it out for me. Let me know what you think. Always leave some feedback. As always, we are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you may get your podcast. So check in, tap in with me. Let me know what you think. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and that's about it. In terms of social media, I really don't use social media all that often, but if you do get a chance, go ahead and give me a follow. I do post a couple times throughout the week. And things like that. So as always, we will start out with today's verse, get a little holy, stay a little blessed. Today's verse is 2 Chronicles 15:7. But as for you, be strong and courageous, for your work will be rewarded. And I think it kind of speaks to a testimony of my whole week, to be honest. So explanation of that is basically just be strong and courageous in doing the work that has been, kind of carved out for you to do. So wherever space that you're in right now, just make sure that you maximize it, do your absolute best, and understanding that next step will be truly for you, and understand that that's that the work that you put in will be rewarded in different ways. May not be the way that you see it, or may not be the way that you want it, but it'll be there. So always just have faith, always take your time, always do the absolute best that you can do. And I think that's really the most that we can do as human beings, especially being imperfect. Always going to be open to making mistakes, always going to be open to either being the victor or the victim. And, it can be applied in just to the daily challenges of living in the world, with many other challenges and situations that can kind of knock you off your pivot. So related to is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I say, move with that, move with the strength that you will be protected, you will be taken care of, as long as you be strong and courageous, do what you're afraid to do. And, for me, in terms of this podcast, I still get, a little anxiety, still get a little butterflies in my stomach, because it's still a time for me to be vulnerable. So today, Saturday, February 22nd, 11 a.m., I pray that you all are continuously blessed. Love y'all from the depths of me. And today's episode is going to be kind of just about being the victor versus the victim, and kind of understanding that, honestly, I always kind of preach the same thing, that really you have a choice about kind of what happens to you after the fact, so of course control what you can control, the events that, do transpire in your life. Understand that you probably may, honestly, you probably couldn't have honestly prevented it, right? Things that are meant for you are going to be meant for you. So if you could have prevented it, then I think that's just a moment of reflection, where you're kind of just thinking of how you could maybe improve for the next situation if it ever were to arise again. And, kind of just understanding that your next step has to be forward, even if it's a shitty step, So I think this week, talking about being the victor and the victim, and kind of picking what choices that you have. And then I'll kind of just tap in throughout my week, get into some Beast games, because that series finally ended and it was actually really wild. And I took away some good moments of that, which I think kind of tie into the subject overall. Get into some TV stuff. I realized that without certain aspects that, I feel like are traditional and normal childhoods, especially growing up as a little boy, transitioning into a man, not having significant pieces there, is something I kind of wanted to tap into, because I feel like naturally I kind of gravitated towards father figures, and getting into kind of just how I, kind of filled up the space, and I feel like the Lord kind of gave me the ability to learn, and especially being a visual learner and kind of just watching TV and understanding that, TV dads kind of had a part in raising me in a sense, so get into that and kind of tap into the get in the house theory about just not giving up and, kind of just see how that goes, So I think, just starting off, I think the difference between being the victor and the victim is really not that far off, right? I think it's really a matter of one or two choices that either keep you as a victim or keep you as the victor, no matter the situation. Now, obviously speaking candidly, I'm not speaking in moments of, tragedy or, moments of trauma or, anything like that. Like if you're a true victim, then it is what it is. Like there's definitely no sense of victimizing in a negative fashion that I'm trying to, portray here. But I think to an extent, even for the little things that do occur in our life every single day, I think that, we kind of do have a hand to play and a part to play in understanding that when do we decide that we are the victim and no longer the victim and become the victor of the situation. Because I think it's just obviously just not obviously, but I think it's really just about making the choice for yourself, right? Losing, honestly, losing the ability to sometimes make that choice and losing the control can, make yourself feel like the victim, but honestly, you may be a victor in that. So for that, I just think that what motivates you to move, whether it's be negative or positivity, can help you make that decision. So what that means to me is like for work, right? Through this instance. So I'll kind of just go through this week in general, right? Kind of a crazy week, honestly. So let's see. Monday, it was cool. Went to work. Work was fine. It was long. I've just been having issues of so I was team lead, right? And I lead the team about 10 to 12 folks, right? Going through significant changes week after week. So a lot of people are naturally in distress. Now, having to be the person to, be responsible from consoling people to supporting to understanding how to navigate changes and pivot and moving forward is a big task in itself. But imagine you had someone twice your age, and shit feels like damn near 3 times, or, twice your age, really, almost on the verge of disrespect, but trying to be as professional as possible, right? Like trying to professionally disrespect you as much as possible, but you have to continue focusing on what matters, right? So for me, what that means, and either being the victor or the victim, is how do I handle that, right? I can either choose to put so much attention into this one person who's making the voluntary choices to do wrong and to negate responsibilities and to do completely, to go opposite of instructions and things like that, and honestly just kind of be a cancer to the whole work environment. And for me, what truly can help a person continue to be great or tap into their potential to be great is their ability to thrive in their environment, right? Water break. I think what really for me, what really made the difference in understanding that it's really a choice of how your life kind of goes, and every single minute and every single hour is how you just deal with the things that you truly can't control, right? Because this person is just going to continuously make excuses to where they will just justify every single action in their own right. Right. So if I understand that early on, then why waste my time going ahead and just continuously, messing myself up and worrying about things that I can't control? Because ultimately, if that keeps me from worrying about my goals, which is uplifting and raising other people, then it really doesn't serve the purpose of my job. Right. So if I'm not doing my job, ultimately because of one person who's just blocking my ability to lock in and handle my business and then handle the business of others, then I'm just going to be failing at my job. And I'd be damned if I fail at my job, I'll tell you that. So with that, when I understand that some people just thrive in negativity, and when I choose opposite, I preach, leading with love and preaching positivity and, being transparent. Obviously that doesn't always work. Like, clearly I have negative thoughts. Like I want to say some wild shit, but, understanding that it doesn't serve a purpose, and the purpose that I think that it does serve doesn't even do anything for me in the long run. Like, would it satisfy my immediate hunger for vengeance? Sure. Right. And I even had that opportunity, I was being transparent, I was just, I was asked if I wanted this person kind of fired or had a conversation to. And I was like, honestly, me believing in the Lord, I will not play like God in any form or fashion. If if it's a matter of what you choose to do, then the consequences of your actions have to follow. And I'm just going to enforce the rules and policies and the standards that's brought upon everybody. And if you're just a one person who's just going to constantly go against that, then I have nothing to do with that. And personally speaking, I just don't. And if I had a choice in wanting that around, then clearly my choice would to not have that person around, right? So I just feel like for me, it just kind of made it a little bit of a decision of truly trusting in the Lord and kind of having him speak through me and being like, you know what, I'm not going to play bigger than what my part actually is, but I'm definitely going to stand in and be strong and courageous for the hard work that I do put in for my occupation, for the work, for my own family and friends and things like that. So like, I think about everything when I get into situations like these where ultimately it is a lot of control, right? So going from being the victor to the victim, where it's like, okay, I could be just letting these things negatively affect me and just be like, oh, well, me, and just annoying me and just now focusing all my time on that person. Instead, what did I do? I turned into positive and said, you know what, I'm going to be strong and I'm just keep pushing forward because there are people that ultimately, need me and depend on me to just do my job and be the best at doing my job. So that way they can be the best at their job, So if anything, especially if you're working with like a team or just a group, or you feel like you just around an environment where it just doesn't feel like it's kind of meant for you to grow and thrive, like find ways to grow and thrive. Like mushrooms grow in dark, moist, wet environments, so, and, other flowers and plants grow in like cactus grow in the desert, so like, if anything, always have that patience and always be strong and courageous, understanding that it has to work because it is already meant for you. It's already built and tapped in for you, so for me, it's just really just making a choice, even on that Monday early, and just being like, you know what, bro, it is what it is. So that was Monday. And then after that, I was going to go hoop, but I was like, don't really feel like it because, me and the missus didn't really like, we didn't really hang out. But honestly, I slept so much last weekend. Like I really just rested a lot because I was just been so tired from work. It's just been driving me up the walls, right? So on Monday, we're just chilling at the house and finally got a chance to clean up and kind of chill out and get some food and kind of just hang out with the missus, talk and things like that, because I always love our conversations. So, and for me, I rather, I can always work out. So what I did was find a little high interval training workout on YouTube and just type in 30-minute workout home or whatever. And it kicked my behind. I tell you what, I think that it really helped me understand that even if you're busy, you always got time to squeeze in what's important, right? So even if something like drinking water, which is something that me and her constantly bigger about, because she thinks that yes, I do love the fact that will I give her credit for drinking water? Absolutely. Does she drink enough? No. But that's neither here nor there, so I always try to just support kind of in different ways, so for me, just even squeezing the time to be like, hey, I got 30 minutes and I got 15-minute ones, 20-minute ones, 30, 45 hour, whatever the case may be. So whatever time that I can squeeze in, I know that I can just go ahead and take care of, so really understanding that there's no excuses for the lack of what you can control and the stuff that you can input, right? So if I'm not in the shape, and it's not even really about like physical, like just kind of feeling internally, I always just like to feel good and trying to be energetic and things like that. And when I honestly hate the gym, so I don't go to the gym. And cause bro, the gym is just such a inconvenience for me. I'm really on the verge of just wanting to build my own gym. Lord, if you bless me with the space to just build my own home gym, I promise you I'll be swole 1,000. Like, and when we convert the video, like you guys, be able to see the progress and things like that. So I just think, squeezing in that 30-minute workout kind of just showed a testament of, hey, even if you're busy and you gonna sacrifice other things, you can still sacrifice a little bit of time in your bedroom. Just move that coffee table out the way, scoot that couch over, make some space and you'll be all right. So it's kind of been really fun with that. Did that 3 times this week. And just kept squeezing it in whenever I found the time, especially later in the day, because I try to work out in the morning, bro, but it really just It'd be alright. Like morning workouts be cool, but for me, I have to kind of set the night up so well that I can just wake up, do it, and keep pushing. So it's really just a matter of switching around my schedule, and I don't feel like doing that because when I get home, I like to start the other life, So especially like from working 40 hours a week and things like that. So we just try to do our best. But worked out, ate good, cooked, Mrs. made some amazing food per usual, and everything worked out. So that was Monday. Then Tuesday was the big niece's birthday. She turned the big 6 going on 16. So congrats to her. I wonder if she'll ever listen back on, this or whatever the case may be. But love you, baby girl. Love you as if you were mine. So I think that that was a big time. So me and the missus actually took a half day from work and then, just drove out there about 45 minutes, went to the stores, bought her a bunch of gifts, spoiled her and things like that. Went to her house, hung out with mama and the newborn, and kind of just spent some time chopping it up, really just trying to have some valuable time, especially during the year, especially when when we can make the time to do things like birthdays and stuff like that. It's really for us putting the personal pride and feelings aside of whatever we may be feeling, if it's just tired of exhaustion or just like I really don't feel like doing it because it's traffic or it's 13 degrees like it's been out here in Georgia and it's just cold as shit. It's like, it is what it is. Just continue pushing, continue moving forward, and take care of those that take care of you, because for her, she takes care of us because mentally she's a breath of fresh air, especially when, because the missus, she works with children. So I think for her, having the opportunity to kind of really be close with one of her babies in a sense is something that really is important to her, important to both of us. And kind of just spending that time be like, hey, we'll figure it out, especially because she was on school break. So it is what it is. But happy birthday to her once again. And we spent a good time doing that. Went to Zaxby's, had a great meal, and then of course she wanted the McFlurry, which by the way, ice cream machine did work. So great birthday. Had a great time, figured out. So funny enough, crazy, actually not even funny at all, crazy enough, as soon as we walked in the house, bro, it smelled like a propane tank which is open, chilling on the floor, which was kind of startling considering the fact that children live there. So thankfully enough, mom had called the gas company, and they came out there and was like, yeah, so basically under the fireplace, like there was a gas line that was just kind of cut but not capped off, and it kind of just been like leaking forever. But I guess it got to a point, I don't know what happened, but it got patched up, and everything in all is well. So thank God for that, and nobody was hurt or anything like that. So that was Tuesday. And then Wednesday, went to work. I think Wednesday was actually really normal. Made some burgers. Worked out again with the missus, and that was a good time. Always enjoy working out with the significant other. Going through the journeys, your trials, tribulations, always easier when you have your best friend right there next to you. So can only appreciate her for that. And then we ate some food, and then Thursday literally did not sit down until like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Went to work, got home, immediately start cooking because I got home late at like 5:30 because I had to work. And then let's see, oh, my fault. And then let's see, immediately got to cooking, and somehow that took forever, bro. I don't know why it took forever. It literally took so long. It took longer than what I thought it was because it was just burgers. But I guess because, I make everything from scratch, and I make it with love. You know what I'm saying? So for me, making them burgers is really just a sign of love, because the missus ain't been feeling well. She been kind of, sick, and she was tired. So I was like, you know what? I'll cook. I'll take care of, it, and do what we got to do. So thankfully, actually, no, she wasn't. No. It wasn't even that. She wasn't feeling tired. She was on her schoolwork. So she's been doing her schoolwork, on the path to graduation, which I am super excited for, because I'm gonna throw her an amazing birthday graduation party. It's not a surprise; she already knows I'm going to throw her a graduation party, but obviously don't know what the theme is gonna be. So I think that'll be extremely fun, extremely exciting for her. So she was doing that, and then I was cooking, and then we worked out, and then took a shower, ate, and then went to sleep, and then I think that was like Oh, was that Wednesday or Thursday? Whatever the day may be. So now we're on Thursday, right? And normal day. I think actually, funny enough, Mrs. forgot her keys at the house. So I had to go scoop her up from her friend's house, which is fine, no problems with that. So got home and then had no issues and worked out, called it a day. And then yesterday I went to work, and funny enough, your boy got a promotion. And I am now department manager of my division. And now all that team lead BS that I have to deal with, I no longer have to deal with it directly, at least for now. And now and really what it just means is I have more not authority, but a lot more decision making power to where it kind of like actually matters, so now it kind of gets a little fun. I can step away from I feel like the mundane normal things of the workflow and kind of get into like more meetings. And meetings are like, I'd be hating meetings, but I like meetings because there's always an opportunity for me to express myself and my thoughts and really make an impact in my local community, which is the people that I lead. So hopefully as things grow and progress, we can always just, continue to do our best and make the most out of it. And of course, all glory be to God. I couldn't have done anything without him, because I know I can do all things through him, no matter what the situation is. So just always, feeling blessed for that. So that was on Friday during our ceremony. And honestly, I had zero idea about it. I swear on everything that I love, I had zero idea about it in terms of it being announced. I had an idea that it was coming, but it wasn't even solidified by like the day prior. I think it was literally solidified like that morning, just because meetings had to be done about, a bunch of trivial things that, normal corporations go through. So yeah, your boy was, promoted to department manager. So it's us. About us is three of us. Two of the other homies, we were team leads for the past year, promoted up, and then my boss also got promoted up. Super excited for her. So great times all around. So Friday was actually, a really good day. I think Friday was a day of highs that I experienced, and for the first time, like, I didn't get overzealous about it. I was extremely excited for it because honestly, I was excited that the missus, kind of seen it come to fruition, because she was more excited than I was. Because for me, it's just work. And most of the time, I don't even talk about like work when I get home or anything like that, right? So because work is just separate from like my real life, and I really don't like to bleed the two. So that's why, like, especially like if you know me personally, unless you ask about work, I'm really never going to talk about it. But here on the podcast, you get a little tap in a little bit. But of course, my important folks, I let them know that I did get it and things like that, because being a better friend and on the journey of being a friend's friend, which I think in episode, either the pilot or episode 1, was really like one of my goals for this year. And I think kind of letting my folks know, and again, letting those who want to support me, and letting those that, want to be leaned on or want to lean on kind of have that opportunity to do so. So if anything, I just love them be happy, love seeing them be happy, and love seeing them be excited for how we moving up in this world a little bit. And then on our glorious Black History Month, of course, I am the first brother to be in this position, and the whole, company, honestly. So I think that's really exciting and kind of nothing to like shy away from. And, it's all part of things that, eventually I want to be able to tell, my own little children, to tell, the folks around me, and, be a source of not inspiration, but a source of encouragement and understanding that as long as you just don't give up. And this is the part of a conversation that me and the missus was having. Is just like, the big difference, or not even a big difference, the smallest difference of those from the people that we see are really successful, the people that we may, appreciate in a sense. I don't like to use the word idolatrize because that's crazy to me, but the people that we appreciate and kind of look up to in a sense, the only difference is that like they didn't give up on whatever the situation is at hand. So I think in terms of really what that means, and for this promotion, is just like, I didn't know I was going to get to this point. At first I said no to like getting into leadership and kind of taking advantage of the opportunity. Just felt like it really wasn't for me right at the time. But when I did say yes, it's because, I was like, you know what, fuck it, really, just say yes. Kind of got an attitude to just say yes to things, say yes to opportunities, because when you close yourself off, then like, what does it do for you? So I think it's really important to leave yourself open for opportunities and leave yourself open for different things to come in and influence your life for the time being. Understanding that don't nothing last forever, right? So even if you make that decision and it's bad, it's just like it can't be bad forever, right? The only way a decision is bad forever is if you let it continue to be bad forever. So, kind of just letting it play into the mental part is just allowing myself to, really enjoy the opportunities the Lord is blessing me with and not taking them for granted, but actually showing excitement and being appreciative of it and letting others show excitement is also part of that blessing as well. Because for me, it's just like kind of feels selfish if I didn't appreciate it to the point of either, letting people know around me that's played a part directly in doing that. And for me, this promotion, and all the benefits that come with it really just, of course, affect me directly, but I think of it more so in terms of the folks around me, like my significant other, my family, my friends, the homies, like those that don't depend on me, but those that appreciate me in a sense. I feel like it's just more opportunities to appreciate them and do things like that. So hopefully with the blessings that come with that, I can just continue to take full advantage and just do what I got to do. But I just feel like it came because I just never stopped. I just never gave up. I always said yes to the opportunities, and understanding that is really something that you can always improve upon. And if it's the wrong decision, you always learning what that decision, brought you. So there's always lessons in the blessings, even if it never feels like it, because everything is a blessing in its own right. So I just feel like that was a key part of the week. Obviously, receiving something like that, a year in the making, a little over a year in the making, and really just taking it day by day, man, because if you would have told me like, hey, this is what would have happened in a year, honestly, I probably would have just got lazy and been like, all right, well, shit, I'm gonna chill out. But, understanding that nothing is guaranteed, not even the next breath, not even the next day, I might as well take full advantage and, do my absolute best. So along with that, work's just been crazy. But, I think, especially having those type of conversations with the missus, even for that, like you can't ever just like take shit for granted. You know what I mean? Like to take shit for granted truly is like an injustice to life sometimes. And for me, I just try to look at every single thing and understanding how blessed I am in those things and in those aspects, and even be able to have conversations with people around me and being like, hey man, I got promoted, cause like I don't do that with my family, cause it kind of feel like not gloating, but like it kind of just brings up topics that I'd rather just not even, be a part of in the future, because people are petty. And I tell y'all, man, family be the first people to do you wrong, so I really do appreciate, all the love. I promise, all the love and, appreciation. I always, I love y'all guys. I always appreciate the love, you know what I'm saying? So I think, just being grateful for every single thing only allows you to accept more. And, and that's in every single aspect, from like the personal possessions that you have to, just, food, to the house that you living in, to the car that you driving. Like shit, that shit working, man. Shit working, man. Oh, got my admissions passed now. Oh, I'm so excited for that. So I have an O2 Sequoia, baby, right? And that thing is, it has a popular reputation for running forever. I don't want to jinx myself. So hopefully, God willing, that this thing does continue to run as smooth as this. Jesus Christ. Hopefully the thing runs as smooth as it has been for the past 20 some odd years. I think we are on year 23, 2002, 2025. Yeah, 23. After 2025, I can get this thing antique plated and not, it can't be the daily driver, but I won't have to get like commissions or anything like that. But honestly, as long as it runs smooth and like I said, I don't have no problems. Like I'm just keeping running the miles up, to be honest with you, and just doing what I got to do until I'm ready to, receive more and be blessed with more. Then, I'll make sure I continue taking full advantage with that. So definitely got some plans with it this summer in terms of like going to LA. So I want to get some kayaks and some bike racks and things like that. Just more ways to have more fun, take advantage of the things that I'm already blessed with. Because sometimes I feel like I'm just not doing enough. And I realize when I'm not doing enough, I get bored. And when I'm bored, I'm kind of like an a-hole to everybody around me. Because it's like I have not too much energy, but like I I didn't express myself in other ways that leaves me with the clarity to have, proper healthy situations in my relationships. Sometimes it's not all the time, but like I do understand that, if I'm bored, then I definitely like act bored, and it's kind of wild, so I think it's also important to always, kind of reflect on yourself and your environment and the people around you and how your certain moods can, affect them, because it's bigger than you. It ain't always about you. So that's what I realized with this week too, especially hanging out with Margalo. Like even when, as a 5 going to 6-year-old, like that's when they start having that impact and start remembering everything. So, I want her to remember that it's always important to make the sacrifices for those that love you and for those that you love, because when, it ain't even about for them being there when you need them. It's always being about the other person, always being bigger than you, and understanding that the the people that you can support, why not support them, so always just taking that into account. And I think it's just important to take just amazing gratitude for every single thing that goes on in your life. Like I even went to the point when I got the promotion, like I walked back into the lobby, and Daryl, my security guard, desk guard, every single morning, we chop it up for a little bit. If it's past the weekend, hey, how was your weekend? Or birthday coming up, how's your birthday? Like I talked to him about the missus, like, hey, her birthday, her family, whatever the case may be. So I told him about the promotion. He was just like ecstatic, man. So I think like for me, it's just always about finding figures in my life that I can kind of, lean on in a sense. And, y'all know, not having a father growing up in the traditional sense, like I had Pop, but, lost him, a few years ago. And I think having the opportunity to just gauge and be inspired by other things that the Lord is just blessing you with is just always important. Kind of just like, like TV dad. So I think, Daryl kind of just, it lit him, make the news making him so happy, seeing somebody that looked like him, talk like him, kind of had like same mannerisms, just good, decent guys, moving up in this world and, doing things in a positive manner and always trying to make a positive footprint around the people around him. Just seeing him, literally his face just lit up like a kid on Christmas, and dap me up real strong, dap up. And he's tall like me, big ass hands. Obviously he must have been a hooper in his day, but he's a great guy. And shout out to my boy Daryl, man. Shout out my boy Daryl and that shot dog. So told him about the news, and he was just super happy. He was just like, what, like guys like y'all who, again, make positive impacts and just continue to grow and do things, really like make him proud and happy. So shout out to you, big dog. Thank you. And, I told him, I was like, if anything, like, I just feel like I had to come tell you, because I know that you, always support on the other side. It may not be directly, but just, again, seeing your face every single day, seeing that positive energy every day, no matter if it's literally 13 degrees and snowing outside and ice outside, or if it's 95 and it's hot as hell outside. Like he always, dressed appropriately and dressed fresh, but he's there every single day unless he's like on vacation and things like that. So, he's married and he has a son, and son's probably like around my age or whatever the case may be. So yeah, man, cool guy, cool and by, man. But I told him about the news and he was just super inspired and super happy. So yeah, man, for me, it's just like, I always try to use my environment to not inspire me, but always use my environment to help me continue to push forward. And really, I just been doing that since I was a kid, so not having a traditional dad in the sense of traditional father figure, really kind of not left me empty, but it did leave me lacking, so, and what that lacking was just, a direct relationship with another man, somebody that kind of teaches the ropes, at least in certain things, so that way you don't have to go figure it out, so, but thankfully, I think the Lord kind of helped me understand and gave me a mind at a young age that you got to take influence for things around you that you then decipher if it's good for you to keep or good for you to throw away. So I really taken a sense of kind of the TV dads that raised me. I mean, strong men figures that, thankfully somebody else had the mind to put on television, and I think that maybe they had the same vision or feeling growing up, and it was like, hey, you know what, maybe I'm gonna portray something that I think everybody should have that maybe I didn't have, or at least maybe that's kind of like the aspect of that I was thinking about it, so some men in my life, like Tim the Tool Man, not Tim the Tool Man. yeah, Tim the Tool Man. I forget what his fucking name is. I have to remind you on the next episode. But it's this older white guy. I always had the tool belt on, and he was always just fixing shit, always handling problems. He had like 3 boys and a wife, decent sized house, but it was like modest. He lived modestly, dressed modestly, talked modestly. He was real intelligent. If I'm not mistaken, like he had like a TV show in the show, or whatever the case may be. But next season or next episode, I have to get the name for y'all. So yeah, man, I just think from him and Malcolm in the Middle, because the dad from Breaking Bad was on there, and I forget his name as well too. But from him being on there, and especially from Malcolm's perspective, and I was never like the middle child, but having a sibling and being the older child, I can definitely understand, kind of having that responsibility. And even if it's not direct, always having that direct, indirect, or direct responsibility of looking out for your loved ones and making sure that they're taken care of. Especially in my case where, it's literally like, hey, you got to make sure that your brother's straight. It's definitely something that I kind of felt like I related to deeper in the sense, more than like normal. And then, you already know how I feel about my boy Terry Crews, and everybody hates Chris. I mean, Julie is just understanding that he was cheap. But if anything, like he always kind of communicated the reason. And I think one episode that hit home for me was like when the daughter had seemingly was like taking money and from him, because like he was telling her to like count up change rolls. And I guess like some of the money was like going missing or seemingly missing, and like he could have like crashed out and things like that because he was super fucking tight with his money. Y'all know the show, but I think for him just even going in there, having that conversation, doing something that I didn't get to experience directly, kind of just showed me like it is possible. And if you ever do get a chance to even impact other children in a way personally, understanding and showing them that it is possible to express your feelings and be there and have those hard conversations no matter what the situation is, because it's all about being in communication and just having the ability to relate on a human level, especially to kids, man. Especially when you have that ability to impact their lives, even if you don't, the fact that you can is big enough, it's a big enough responsibility in itself. So I always just try to take that to heart. But Terry Crews, y'all already know, super influential. I personally use the deodorant, and just like in the last episode, like some of his mantras, man, just you kind of just hit home where he just told about sometimes your greatest hopes are destroyed to prepare you for something better. And especially related to work, like my greatest hope was honestly just to sit there and do my own thing and not really worry about anybody. But obviously it's something better to be able to make an impact on more than 12, 13 people, y'all. Like that's absolutely insane. And I think he just helped me understand that life is just truly all about choices, especially in a show where even for Christmas, like working 2-3 jobs trying to save up because you got kids. But guess what, you had those kids. So if you got those kids, then you got to be responsible for making sure that you handle those kids, take care of those kids, or not even giving them the flashiness of life, but understanding that I'm trying to do something better for you. And I think that's always something important to try to relate to other people and things like that. So I just feel like he kind of showed me that wisdom and decision making can be made in a multitude of fashions. And I really think that's important, to kind of try to digest, because the goal is to get wiser. You realize the choice that you make helps you go in a direction, and another direction may be the best direction that you go into as well. But just touching back on his interview that he did with Larry Wheels, he was talking about focusing and really understanding that your brain only knows what your eyes let it see. So for me, I kind of helped me take a step back and being like, what am I kind of consuming in my life? And honestly, I do consume, I still listen to rap and like trap and whatever the case may be. But if I do listen to music, sometimes it might just be praise music or just like the Bible pod or something like that. Or I just like sit in silence and listen to my own thoughts. Or if I'm in like, a music mood, like yesterday, I was playing music in the car and stuff like that. Like today I'll play some tunes and, kind of celebrate and chill out. But, I think it helps me understand that if you stay focused day after day after day after day after minute after minute after second after month, then like everything kind of compiles and builds up to where you're at a point where you really didn't even see yourself at, right? So imagine Beast Games, right? And this will be, the next segue into that. So Beast Games, the last episode was really just about the decisions that you make. And it was like 4 or 5 contestants left. And we'll, get to, I think like the second to last challenge. And the goal, so actually I'll start over. There's a bunch of tiles on the floor, right? Now the tiles actually light up in a certain pattern. Now you don't know what the pattern is until Jimmy lights it up. Now there's 4 contestants. The 4 contestants have a podium in front of them, directly in front of them, about a foot in front of them. So they put their arm on the button. Now the button, once you mash it down, the button reveals the path on the floor, on the grid. Now you're probably about 20 feet back, 20 feet up in the air. So it's not exactly, it's a great visual, but you're not up close and personal, right? So imagine you're sitting there, hand on the button, 20 feet back, 20 feet up, and you're staring at this path. Not only are you staring at this path, you have 3 other people to either the left of you, 2 people on the right of you, 1 person on the left of you, vice versa, or you have 3 people on the right on you, right? Now, some people may be trying to distract you by either intentional or unintentional actions, counting the numbers, trying to figure out the pattern of how they're going to remember this, right? Because the caveat is, the second you let your hand up, the path goes away for everybody. So it's not like they let it up and then it goes away, they go try it, and now the next person tries. Nope, only 1 person attempts it, because if they pass, they automatically go on to the final round. And not only do they go on to the final round, they choose another contestant to pick and go into the final round with them, right? So now you have not only the option to win, you have the option to eliminate. So there's a ton of power in this decision, right? So there's one lovely lady, and call her lovely because she was extremely strong throughout the whole challenge. And the challenge prior to this one that I'm speaking about, she was ganged up on, like them folks was trying her, right? So she, persevered and, went through her trials and tribulations, and she was moving forward. So, I became a fan. We, me and the miss was cheering her on. It was like, hey, go ahead, do this thing, make this money, right? So she's super confident in her abilities now, rightfully so. She takes her hands off the podium. Boom. Music drops, right? Said, all right. So she walks down to the floor, goes down a ladder, stairs, or whatever the case may be, walks up to the floor. Off the rip, the guy that was directly next to her was the guy talking to her the whole time, trying to distract her, knock off her pivot. I think, personally. I think in the show, he was like supporting her. Technically, he was supporting her because he ended up like telling her the truth, but I think overall it just kind of sounded a little fishy, right? So I think for her, she was like, you know what, if I lose, I'm going to lose on my own merit. I'm not going to be the victim of my own situation, and even if I am, it's going to be because I chose to and I led myself in that direction. So she walked down to the floor, right? Now she's going to start the path. The place that she's at, the tile that she's at, turns out by her neighbors, the guy right next to her, by his estimation, she should be 1 block over to the left. Boom. Everybody goes, what? 1 block over to the left? What do you mean by that? So what ends up happening is she says, okay, nah, bump that. Takes the first step onto the tile. It's either going to show green or it shows red. Guess what it showed? Red. Yeah. tell me the first step that she took was red, bro. And guess what? The dude that was telling her that it was one step to the left, it was actually that towel. So she goes over to that towel, and guess what? She does the entire path from memory. So if she would have just, technically, if she would have listened, she would have won. But now you're potentially left with what? The decision of who do you bring? Do you bring the guy that I guess technically got you to the point that you got? Or do you bring somebody else because you may favor them? Because the guy that helped her out was also going against her in the previous challenge. Again, she was ganged up on, right? So I feel like that would have been a very tough decision because you would have only been there based on the merit of somebody else. And for me, I personally don't want to be in that decision, right? So, or be in that space to have to make that decision because, again, I personally think that it was always better to bet on yourself and lose than to let someone else vote for you. So we'll get to the final challenge, right? So final challenge happens as 2 contestants left, right? Boom, cool. It's a case game. So Jimmy has 10 cases on the podium circle, and one of the cases has a check for $10 million. So the 2 contestants decide who goes, and it's going to be the black woman who mixes up the cases and decides which case of the 10 million is going to be placed where and has which number. So the other contestant, the white guy, is now ready to try to guess. And, you know, he's very strategic in his thinking of like, okay, which case is she going to put the money in? So she was like, okay. So backstory. He has a one boy. The white guy has one boy who has like an incredibly rare disease that basically leaves his brain, or it leaves his body lacking the ability to develop. And like he's basically a 1-year-old in a 7-year-old's body, or like 1.5 or 2-year-old or something like that. So it's like it's a huge cognitive delay that leaves his body kind of lacking a lot of development. I think it's called creatine something. It's something that his brain isn't getting the proper nutrients to where it needs to go. Right? Incredibly horrible, disease, and it's rare as hell too because, it's obviously something that you just can't go to the doctor and get a perk 30 for and call it a day. So hey, got a lot of stuff up on the line. And now the woman, she has her reasons too, and I honestly forgot. But ideally, what 2 cases would you put it in? 1 or 7? Now these folks have been, in this beast city for weeks at a time. So ideally, they should know each other pretty well, especially going through these challenges. You probably figure out what kind of patterns and how they figure out their patterns and decision makings and how they best, how they may base their decisions on luck and things like that, and kind of what numbers are favored to them. So ideally what we're thinking is either 1 or 7 that you would absolutely would not put it in, right? So he doesn't, during his monologue, he doesn't choose 1 or 7. He goes to 5. Now 5 is the amount of family members that the black woman has. So now he's on the mindset of, okay, she's going to pick a number that's significant to her, or at least around that area, and put the $10 million in there, because obviously she wouldn't put a number that he think he would pick for himself that favors for him. So what number? So he goes to the next number. He goes to 6. He goes, well, obviously you wouldn't put it in 5 because that's a little too predictable. But throwing me off and putting it right next to it in 6, well, that may be it. So what does he do? He picks number 6 and boom. Yay! Cheers! Woo! He literally wins $10 million because he figured out he read her like a book, a children's book, a Dr. Seuss special, a novella, if you will. Every single page, every single letter, backwards, forwards, upside down, and every single diagonally, jumbled it around like Scrabble and made it back into exactly what it originated as, and read her like a book, y'all. Crazy work. But what'd he do? Bet on himself, because it's always better to bet on yourself and lose than let someone else do it for you. So I think that was absolutely insane. And that was a part of the week last week. So just kind of, having that mindset of like, dog, if I'm going to lose, it's going to be because I lost. And there ain't going to be nothing that's going to make me lose for me, So, yeah, man, I think, with that, I think we might be ready to wrap it up. One last kind of, I guess, topic I did want to get into is just touching back on like the get in the house, kind of theory that I've been using. It's just like, man, you got to get in that house wherever, like your goal is that house, right? So in the front door, it obviously ain't going to be able to let you in that way. But tapping on the windows, man, tap the windows, try to move some curtains around, try to really figure out where, you can make the best out of the situation. And I think that you'll always appreciate that about yourself, because if you lose and you don't get in that house, or it starts raining and you got to try again another day, then you know that you at least tried. So just, handle business, man. Go out there and do what you don't want to do, because I promise you, making those hard decisions will make for an easier life. And I can't wait to continue going on this journey with y'all, man. So be the victim, don't be the victim, and continue pushing forward. So as always, this is the Big Homie, This Starts With Me podcast. Another episode 7. We getting used to this thing, running around in the books. Again, check out last episode if you do have the time. Of course, he's saying it's gonna be a lot longer. Why? Because I'm tapping in. I'm locked in, man. I got a lot of things going on every day. So even if it's not like a lot of podcast derived or other information derived content, I always know that my mind is turning, because I'm like, you know what? I gotta remember what's kind of going on. Right? I gotta remember what's going on and be able to talk about it, formulate it in a way that allows me to have fun and do things like that. So yeah, man, I'm gonna go celebrate. Got this big promotion. Your boy department manager, man, I ain't gonna lie, it sounds kind of crazy. And we got a nice little pay bump and things like that, and some other benefits. And I think it'll really be a good time, especially because it'll help lead the missus and I in a place of of flourishing and enrichment, and always being rich in spirit, no matter what the pockets look like. And hopefully we can continue just doing things that allow us to have fun, go on vacations and do things like that. And I can't wait to take y'all with me. And if anything, it gives me a better and higher ceiling for this podcast. It gives me more room to invest and things like that. So now I can plan and plan accordingly, and do things and take care of business. So as always, y'all, go out there, handle your business, man. Get in that house. If that door is locked, check the side, check the back, check the windows, keep going, because something is open out there. And if you can't do it today, check back again tomorrow. If it ain't there tomorrow, do it again in the next day, then in a week, then in a month, then 6 months, a year. Just keep pushing, man, because if you would have told me last year that a year from February 3rd, my birthday, which I got promoted last year, to this year, which technically I got promoted again on my birthday, paperwork says February 3rd. So everything that happened in those 365 days, man, I just am extremely appreciative of, and honestly working hard to try to make the most out of every single day, because that's how I remember it. So yeah, man, love y'all with the most of me. I'm out, and I'll see y'all next week for episode 8. Check us out everywhere that you can. Love y'all with the depths of me. Peace out. Thank you for your time on this week's episode. I got one more request for you before you head up out of here. Check us out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else that you may get your podcast. We're going to continue rolling this thing out on every other platform possible, so that way you can go ahead and chat with us, hit us up, give us feedback, share with your family and friends on other platforms as well. We are on Instagram, Twitter. So yeah, at the TSWM pod. Everywhere else, look us up. Thank you again for your time, and I'll see you next week.